This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it, man, I know it, I know.
And literally 2020 was the year to go full time. And
Yeah.
we said we got 12 to 18 months, we're going to make this shit happen. We're going to do it. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And like I talked about, all the new business we had out the door, right? All the existing business we had, we're not going to get repeat purchases until like 2021.
Yeah.
So I was like, what are we going to do? And the only thing we could think of was pivot to something virtually to just connect home game players and maybe make it a subscription model. So we did. And then we got this completely awesome referral from DraftKings to a company called Morning Brew. Big media company, new age media company out of New York. And they said, we want to run a big corporate virtual poker tournament, white label brand it, live stream it, get a bunch of like notable poker players involved, business people. And would you help us do that? We don't want to use some of the other companies out there that are much more well known in this space. I said, yeah. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
Figured it out. We crushed it. Thank God. A bunch of great people from poker came in, business leaders like the COO of Twitter, CEO of Slack, all these president of NASDAQ played in it, raised over like 250K. And all of a sudden, man, we just got a flood of inbound leads. And at this time, it was just me. And I said, this is our new business model.
Yeah.
We are going to do virtual poker for the corporate world, for nonprofits, built a team around it, built processes around it. We're running it like a software as a service business, and the thing is just to the moon right now, thank God.
And you know this better than anybody else. You started a secondary company now
Yeah.
with Above the Feld Entertainment.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. Like this has been on my mind for a few years, and there are very few select people in the industry that I've become friends with and have gained like a mutual respect and trust for, right? Over the last 4 years. Obviously, you're at the top of that list, Jamie, Darren, and Chris developing those relationships. But I have been doing this type of like work, helping people get gigs in the corporate world or help them with their influence and consult on what they could be getting when they work with a poker room. And then I've also done that for the poker room side of the business.
Yeah.
Where like I help them bring in influencers who are going to help drive their bottom line, or I consult with poker businesses on marketing campaigns. I've just been doing this stuff on the side. But really, it was one of those things where I was at that point saying, okay, now is the time if I'm going to do this and build a talent and marketing agency, now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
I really believe that the industry needs it. I never believed in myself as someone to be that connector. You've actually helped me with that through the years, whether you know it or not. And I knew if we got the right people involved and built the right brand and launched it the right way, it could be received really well and it could add a ton of value to businesses in the industry. And then we're going to wind up building a ton of value for businesses out of the industry while spreading the good spirit of the poker industry.
Yeah.
And we launched 3 days ago, and I am amazed at the feedback so far.
Tell them a little bit more about who's involved, what the ultimate mission statement is.
Sure.
Like what you hope to achieve in the short and long term.
Sure. So Above the Felt Entertainment, call it a poker talent and marketing agency. So the mission is this. Within the industry, we want to be able to connect operators, players, businesses for mutual business benefit, whether it's on the experiential side or the economical side. Let's give an example. So let's say Poker Room in Florida is having their annual big event, right? It's their biggest event of the year. $250, $500 buy-in, maybe it's like a couple $100,000 guarantee. It's not like the big WPTs, it's not the WSOP, et cetera. It's your everyday poker player playing at these poker clubs, right? When you involve somebody like you or Jamie or Chris or Darren in that experience for a player, it gives them like a one-of-a-kind unique experience. Poker rooms, I'm just using this as an example, would then like hire you to come on out and they can use your likeness. They can work with you to say, hey, look, you can come and play with Matt Berkey. Matt Berkey's going to play on our live stream. Matt Berkey's going to give a 30-minute 3-bet, session before the tournament starts. That's going to help put incremental butts in seats. It's going to help increase their brand favor. It's going to put extra views on their streams. And that type of influence that you've built and other people in the industry have built should be rewarded, because it's going to help you. It's going to help the business we're working with grow their business, and it's going to give fans this unbelievable experience. So like, that's one mission. Like, I want to connect poker players, influencers, the right people with the right poker rooms and operations to help everybody win. The other one is on the corporate side. I feel like the poker industry has a ton to offer in the corporate world. Now it's like, how do we take all your skills and influence, yours, Jamie's, Darren's, Chris's, and bring that to the corporate world with things like, and I'm going to give a few examples. So there are so many correlations between poker strategy and business strategy. And who better than you to go into a room full of executives and be able to give a knockout keynote speech and session on that to help make them a better leader and decision maker through the lens of poker. That is enormous value.
Yeah.
And those opportunities are everywhere. We're just not pursuing them.
Poker is unique in the sense that not only do you build up this like battle-tested emotional resilience because you're just dealing with variance at a level that most humans can't comprehend.
Right.
Like, the amount of variance that takes place in poker is probably like 10x of what you experience in everyday life. But on top of that, it's all driven by this chaotic mathematical system that in order to be good, you have to understand. And that's business, right? Like, when you can reduce things down to expected value, to ROI, to these terms that we see being utilized in the financial world day in and day out, with the analogy of it's just like a hand of cards, or it's just like a string of hand of cards. You know what I mean? Like, when you can break it down into simple terms as far as like, I live and die based on the turn of a card, but let me explain to you why that's not just rooted in luck or chance. Mm-hmm. And now let me equate that to the decisions that you're making as a head of the board. I think people can really relate to that.
It elevates the whole industry. And that's like a driving force to me, because outside of the industry, you know this as well as I do, there is a disconnect of what our industry is all really about versus what people might think about it or the perception of it outside the industry. Like, this is one of the most passionate industries with some of the best entrepreneurs and business minds on the planet. And I've worked in a bunch, dude. And unfortunately, there's a perception out there that poker is just like the casino world. Mm-hmm. The house is always going to win. There are some degenerates, whatever. I say that not to insult our industry. It's just the way it is to a lot of people outside the industry. It's why it's so hard to get sponsorship.
Well, to be clear, the vast majority of the community is that.
And
right, that's how the top 20% eat, is based off the 80% that can't get to that level.
But the best of the best is nothing like that.
No, of course.
Right? For us to be able to elevate the industry through your influence and getting to know our best and brightest stars in a targeted way in that corporate world, it's just going to lead to great things. Like, on a smaller scale, I'm already starting to see it with the little things we're doing with Faded Spade on that front. Like, we're connecting celebrities and poker players that never knew each other, and then they have unbelievable respect towards each other, and everybody that interacts with them has a great experience. Yeah. And I really believe, like, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in the industry where I believe Above the Felt is going to help poker rooms and poker operators and online operators drive business and do great things, right? A whole win-win-win scenarios.
Even if it's only one person, right? If you end up building a team of 20 and only one of us proves to be a shining star, it's still very critical to have that one, because what you get from that is validation, right? That validation and clout is what allows the expansiveness of poker personalities to grow. Right. So it's like, your job now as the leader of Above the Felt is to showcase the unique talent that anybody that you sign has. Yeah. And that's intangible, largely. It's a hard ask.
That's my strength. It's like, I know it's a hard ask, but it's also something that, like, it's just come natural.
Well, it's where the media failed in this industry and why we don't have media any longer. Taking a bunch of 20-something white males who are doing okay at a card game and asking them about hand histories is a surefire way to ensure that you don't have an audience 10 or 15 years down the line.
Right. I know you're passionate about that, right?
It's just precisely what happened, right?
There's a promoter in me that wants to make sure, as you guys do this in the corporate world, it's also building your characters, right? And when I say characters, I don't mean a wrestling gimmick or a UFC fighter gimmick. I mean, people know your stories.
Yeah, yeah.
All of your stories are absolutely amazing. And what do people fall in love with? Stories.
Yeah.
They don't fall in love with, I'm talking mass market now. You don't fall in love with turning on poker on TV and watching a few hands.
No, agreed. Totally.
But if they believe in the story and know the story of the person that's playing that poker hand, they give a shit.
Yeah.
They care.
Yeah, you have to create rooting interests.
What-
We don't have teams. We don't have cities. We don't have...
It's going to come, I'm telling you. We're empowering the right players, right, to now utilize their influence for their benefit, poker's benefit, a poker room's benefit,
Yeah.
and the fan benefit in the industry.
Something that I've been really wanting to do for the last 2 or 3 years, and I've just kind of had my feet in the mud, but I do think that there's a huge opportunity for this, is it's insane to me that we are the only industry I can imagine that has 25,000 people worth of foot traffic come through the WSOP every year, and we don't have a convention. It's
Wow.
madness. Want to know the easiest way to prop up the poker community? You put on a convention that has tentacles to it that have overlap, right? So it's a poker convention that is X amount of days long during the WSOP when every fucking poker player in the world is already here, and you have a slot for crypto. You have a slot for tech.
Oh, shit.
You have a slot for
Yeah.
finance.
Cross-marketing, cross-promoting, cross-leadership training.
Yeah, because what's happening is it's a huge opportunity for those industries to capture an audience that is already, have their toes in the water. But in the inverse, it's a huge opportunity for our industry to bring those people in.
Hell yeah, dude.
Right?
Absolutely. And I wasn't even thinking about it like that.
There should be the training industry
Yes,
represented.
100%.
There should be online
Online
operators represented.
Physical operators.
Yeah, there should be physical operators all represented. There should be players represented.
Marketing in the poker industry, business development
Sure.
in the poker industry,
Well, if ever you're
or
going to
operations.
if ever you're going to be in a scenario where you could potentially organize poker players to collectively, I don't want to say unionize, I think that's a poor representation, but to create some sort of loose agreement amongst one another, it's
Right.
there,
100%.
right? It's there. It's come to this keynote led by Phil Galfond and crew in order to better organize the poker community, right? Like, who's not going to go to that? Yeah. And I mean, there's incentives, right? Like, it seems difficult to incentivize training training leaders in the industry to come out and showcase. It seems difficult to incentivize operators, and it seems difficult to incentivize brick and mortar business and stuff like that. But all you do is give them a booth.
Yeah.
You just give them the ability to grow their own little sector of the business, right? And the amount of foot traffic that comes through is so massive.
Even if this thing breaks even, whoever does come up with this, whether it's us or somebody else, like,
Yeah.
as long as it breaks even the first year,
Yeah.
it's going to be community building.